The shocking truth about living in Hartlepool. You're welcome to our informative channel. We're excited to know that you're there. Thanks for your wonderful support. Please do us one more favour. We kindly request that you endeavour to share this informative video with someone you love, so that they too can be brought up to speed. Your comments are so much appreciated. Please let us into your thoughts after watching this video. Are you planning on moving to Hartlepool? Do you know anyone with such intent at the moment? There are two sides to living in Hartlepool. While there are good reasons to love the town, some people have enough reasons they will not consider such a move. This video discusses the shocking truth about living in Hartlepool. Cost of living. We have to admit, without conceding, that the cost of living in Hartlepool is fair if you compare it with those of other parts of the country. Let's take a cue from how this plays out in the aspect of rent. This town in the east has been confirmed as the UK's bargain basement rental capital. According to recent figures from the famous estate agency Zoopla, tenants in Hartlepool pay an average monthly rent of just £551. This places this town ahead of the cheapest places to rent a home in England. The rent in Burnley averages £504, and it is £512 in East Ayrshire. Consider London, where the average rent is calculated to be £26,316 a year, which calculates down to £2,193 a month. In the Stranton area of the town, the £1,000 per apartment price has become the subject of jokes. Why? Some say it is because the town is plagued by litter while drug dealing and antisocial behaviour are rampant. According to recent data, the average house in Hartlepool costs around £136,000, and with less than £106,000, you could own your own terraced home. We just highlight the rent to illustrate that the cost of living in the town is quite low. That's an amazing truth about living in Hartlepool. Generally speaking, Hartlepool is one of the towns to live on a budget. There are lots of charity shops in the town for those who love a bargain and those who can't afford to be at a regular shop. The town has a great selection of second-hand shops. A lot of grocery shops are there in this town, and the cost of groceries here can't tear your pocket. In fact, there are a lot of places to eat out in the town, and the price is quite cheap. Not appreciated by all. It is not everyone living in Hartlepool that appreciates its low cost of living. After abandoning their homes in anticipation of enjoying life in a town with a lower cost of living, some have found that they will never be able to save enough money to own property. It then turns out that Hartlepool's rental market, which seems attractive, is like the stuff of sweet dreams. Thus, it's safe to conclude that it is a factor of whatever the experience of the individual is. While the low rental rates have brought many people from major cities such as Birmingham, London and Manchester in droves, with the hope of starting a new life with the rent they can afford, many of them are packing up and leaving just after a few months of arriving in Hartlepool. According to locals, the new arrivals who have been priced out of their former, more fashionable hometowns have discovered that finding a cheaper home and more affordable cost of living right here in Hartlepool is illusory. The challenge of unemployment. Another challenge Hartlepool is grappling with is that of unemployment. You don't have to be too quick to jump at the offer of its cheap houses. Even if homes are given freely in a town, the town is not going to be automatically attractive for as long as there are no meaningful job opportunities. The joblessness situation of Hartlepool might be shocking to anyone. The unemployment rate in Hartlepool currently stands at 6.4%. Unemployment here captures the number of those who are economically active but are unemployed. If you compare this with the national average unemployment rate in the UK, which is 3.8%, you'll be left wondering. Contributing to heightening this rate is the fact that there are over 2,800 students in the town. They account for 18.5% of the economically inactive population between the ages of 16 and 64. Well, this is another interesting truth about living in Hartlepool. The next time you are dissecting the unemployment rate of this town, please take cognizance of the fact that students are understandably unemployed. For instance, you have to take away about 2,800 from whatever figure you're given at the moment before you calculate the ratio of the unemployed to the population. And if either the number of those schooling in the town or the entire population changes, remember to make that a factor before reaching any conclusion regarding the town's unemployment rate. The challenge of homelessness. Even though the price of homes is relatively cheaper in Hartlepool, the challenge of homelessness is still real. During the last December festivities, some residents took up the cause of the poorest residents of the town. One of them had just been told his landlord intended to put his rented home on the market. He was asked to look for new accommodation. The ensuing uncertainty that action created put him in a thoughtful mood. His experience enabled him to pay more attention to the plight of homeless people sleeping rough on the streets that he had not noticed as he was working past them. Yes, people sleep on the streets in Hartlepool. If you listen to their stories, you're likely to be heartbroken. The hidden homelessness problem you'll discover in Hartlepool is so bad that many you once believed weren't homeless don't have a place to call theirs. Many of them were actually sleeping on friends' sofas. You know what that means? They must leave the house early in the morning, whether or not they have anywhere to go. They may even resort to walking the streets so as not to cause any kind of hindrance. It's not strange to find a family of 5 living in a caravan. But the exhilarating truth is that talks are currently going on with charities and Hartlepool Council regarding this challenge of homelessness. The idea is that they want to set up a warm, safe space as emergency accommodation for the homeless people who are sofa surfing or those confined to the street. What about criminal gangs? While cheap rent in Hartlepool is definitely attractive and has brought all sorts of people to the town, it has a downside. We surely are proud of the town. Unfortunately, another scourge it has brought to the town is the organised crime gangs. One house on York Road in Hartlepool has been rented out to cannabis farmers several times. Imagine the extent of damage such farmers were doing to society before they were apprehended and convicted. A 22-year-old who was recently jailed for 5 years bagged his second custodial sentence for farming cannabis. In this town, there are social problems, drugs, and poverty everywhere you look. That's why anyone with any criminal record who moves to the town is usually checked on. More so, homeless people are likely to commit crimes of desperation such as shoplifting just to survive. There was a property in the town that has been raided 9 times since 2015. Each time it's raided, cannabis plants have been brought out. Does it mean that every tenant in the house is a cannabis farmer? A disturbed tenant in a house close to the property once complained that people living in the house weren't open to any communication, but they just turned the place into a full-time cannabis factory. That's why whoever owns it must take his fair share of the blame. The smell of cannabis is in the air everywhere all the time. It's something residents of Hartlepool have to learn to live with. However, cannabis has been recognised as an inducement to commit a crime. The cheap old houses in the rundown area have become a target for the criminal people. It's not good enough to have more criminals in Hartlepool. So the town should maintain its position on not allowing people with criminal records and those likely to become unemployed into the town. Before we end this discussion, we want to fully bring you in. Now please tell us, what do you find most interesting about the shocking truth about living in Hartlepool? Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.